I'm your host, BrightLearn, and today we're embarking on a journey through the fascinating, frightening, and utterly crucial world of germs, biological warfare, and vaccinations. Our guide for this journey is the eye-opening book, Germs, Biological Warfare Vaccinations, What You Need to Know by Gary Null. So, grab your headphones, settle in, and let's get started. Our story begins in New York City, a place synonymous with hustle and bustle, but also, as it turns out, with a chilling resurgence of an old foe, tuberculosis. In the 19th century, TB was a merciless killer, sending millions to their graves and others to remote sanitariums for costly treatments. But then, the miracle of antibiotics arrived, and by the mid-20th century, TB was all but forgotten in the West. Or so we thought. Fast forward to the late 20th century, and TB is back with a vengeance. In New York State, after 1975, the number of TB cases began to rise dramatically, reaching a peak in 1989. This resurgence was no accident. It was a testament to the failures of American healthcare, particularly for the poor, who often relied on emergency rooms or went untreated due to lack of insurance. Overcrowding in prisons, where the disease spread rapidly, and a weakened public health system, defunded by Republican presidents since the 1980s, exacerbated the problem. But the most terrifying aspect of this resurgence was the emergence of a new, drug-resistant strain of TB, dubbed the W strain. This strain was so resistant to drugs that it was virtually unbeatable. It took labs at least 6 weeks to determine which drug combinations could combat it. And even then, it wasn't the only new TB form appearing. This strain had originated in Russia and was imported to New York City, where by 1988, a quarter of all TB cases were among foreign-born individuals. Now, let's shift gears and travel back to 1971, to the town of Aralsk in Kazakhstan, then part of the Soviet Union. Here, an outbreak of smallpox, a disease that once killed 500 million people in the 20th century, occurred under mysterious circumstances. This outbreak is significant not just because it was one of the last, but because of how it happened. In June 2002, a report by the Monterey Institute of International Studies revealed that a ship conducting ecological research had sailed too close to Vozrozhdeniya Island, the Soviet Union's main biological weapons test site. A deadly plume of smallpox was released, infecting a crew member who brought the virus back to Aralsk. The result? 2 children and a young woman died, and many more fell ill, including 7 who had already been vaccinated. This incident raises alarming questions about the effectiveness of vaccines against weaponized pathogens. The strain released by the Soviets was so potent that it overcame the immunity of those who had been vaccinated. This revelation caused the Bush administration, which was pushing for mass smallpox vaccination, to take notice. It also highlighted the potential dangers of biological weapons and the challenges of defending against them. But the story doesn't end there. As Laurie Garrett outlines in her book, Betrayal of Trust, The Collapse of Global Health, the emergence of new treatment-resistant germs is not just a product of bioterrorism. It's also a consequence of the natural evolution of pathogens, fueled by mismanaged healthcare and the misuse of antibiotics. In the former Soviet Union, for example, the collapse of the medical system led to the misuse of antibiotics, creating superbugs that are now harder to treat. In the United States, the decline of strict control laws over carriers of contagious diseases, coupled with the premature discontinuation of treatment, has led to the creation of resistant strains. The 1989 New York TB outbreak is a prime example where patients stopped taking their antibiotics as soon as they felt better, allowing drug-resistant tuberculosis strains to emerge. Garrett further argues that the world's anarchic, underfunded medical facilities are contributing to the birth of superbugs. From sloppy infection control practices in hospitals to the overuse of antibiotics, often misprescribed for viral infections. The list goes on. The widespread feeding of antibiotics to livestock, where they are used as fattening agents, means bacteria can develop resistance and then pass into human circulation through poorly cooked meat or eggs. This brings us to a critical point. Whether through the ingenuity of terrorist scientists or the defaults in the world's medical culture, a new wave of engineered or evolutionarily improved bugs is being created and will be unleashed on our society. But what about the healthcare institutions that are supposed to protect us? Garrett argues that the U.S. healthcare system is ill-equipped to handle these new threats. Many doctors are unfamiliar with diseases like smallpox, which haven't been seen for decades. In a 1999 experiment, Dr. John Bartlett found that none of the doctors he consulted at Johns Hopkins University Hospital could correctly diagnose a patient with inhalational anthrax. Moreover, our national immunization programs have been underfunded, and many people alienated from medicine for various reasons have not been vaccinated. The 1989 to 1991 measles epidemic in the United States, which affected over 55,000 children, is a stark reminder of the dangers of low vaccination rates. As we delve deeper into the book, we find that the author argues for a radical rethinking of our approach to health. He proposes a dual strategy: refurbishing our neglected public health system and improving our general health to make those struck by epidemics more likely to survive. This involves a shift from traditional, egoist individualism, which views health as an individual matter, to a more collectivist approach, recognizing the interconnectedness of individual and community health. The author draws on the works of thinkers like Émile Durkheim and Blaise Pascal to underscore the importance of this shift. Durkheim's concept of the collective nature of society and Pascal's insights into the dual nature of humanity provide a philosophical grounding for this view. The book also highlights the importance of paradigm shifts, using Pascal's life as an example. Pascal, a leading scientist of the 17th century, experienced a profound transformation after a mystical experience, leading him to abandon his scientific pursuits and embrace religion. This shift, the author argues, parallels the current paradigm shift in medicine, where the old model of battling pathogens is giving way to a new model that considers the complex interplay between pathogens, the body, and the environment. The author suggests that we can learn from Pascal's experience, using his observations during a time of intellectual upheaval to navigate our own uncertain times. In conclusion, Germs, Biological Warfare Vaccinations, What You Need to Know, is a call to action. It urges us to rethink our approach to health, recognizing the limitations of traditional methods and embracing a more holistic, community-oriented approach. As we face the challenges of new diseases and the threat of biological warfare, this message is more relevant than ever. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope this episode has left you with a deeper understanding of the issues at hand and a renewed commitment to taking care of yourself and your community. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay healthy. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share this podcast with your friends. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you.
This has been a BrightLearn video from BrightLearn.ai on the book Germs, Biological Warfare, Vaccinations, What You Need to Know by Gary Null. Visit BrightLearn.ai for more fascinating videos like this one, and visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage and breaking news on critical stories that keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.